الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد الأمين وعلى آله طيبين الطاهرين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم تنزيله بعد نعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر Sadaqallahu al-Azim. My dear respected brothers and elders, respected sisters and youngsters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There are 114 surahs in the Quran, and the surah that I recited is one of the briefest surahs from the Quran. And it is considered by the scholars of the Quran, the scholars of Tafsir, as one of the most comprehensive surahs. To the extent that Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi said that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had decided to reveal just this one surah, and this would be the entire Quran, it would have been sufficient for the guidance of mankind. The rest of the Quran is further explanation of the surah and further details, but this one surah would have been sufficient for the guidance, for those who would take the lesson, for those who would take heed, for those who would take the surah to heart and the meanings in the surah seriously. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, when they would meet each other, when they would separate, when they would join together, and when they would go their own ways, they used to recite the surah to one another as a means of reminder, and to remind each other about the purpose of their life and the purpose of their existence, and so that they could correct their priorities. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَى تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And remind, for the reminder is beneficial for the believers. So this surah used to serve as a reminder for each other about the greatest questions of life, that what is the purpose of my existence and what are my objectives supposed to be in my earthly existence. What should I focus on? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He starts out the surah with very scary and a grave warning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the oath of time and says, Wal asr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is time. As Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in one hadith, La tasubbu dahr. In a hadith Qudsi, فَأَنَا الدَّهْرِ, that do not curse the time, for I am time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by time. And one of the reasons why He swears by time is that time is a witness. And history is a witness to the fact that the coming statement is the ultimate reality. If we go through the history of the human beings on earth, and we go through the past, and what we will see in the future, on the Yawm al-Din, on the day of retribution, on the Yawm al-Jaza, we will see that the statement that is following is the ultimate truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the oath of time, wal asr, by time itself, innal insana lafi khusr. Verily, all humanity, all human beings are in utter loss. So this is a very arresting and attention-grabbing beginning to the surah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken such a broad stroke, and He said that the entire humanity, innal insan lafi khusr, is in ultimate loss. Now, from the Arabic language perspective, there is so many emphasis, so many ta'keed upon ta'keed upon ta'keed in the formulation of this ayah, in this sentence. First, of course, is the wal asr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took an oath, took a qasam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in no need to take an oath to strengthen His statement, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most truthful. وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قِيلًا. Who could be more true than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who could be more truthful than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke, that is the ultimate truth. After reciting the ayahs in the Quran, we remind ourselves, Sadaqallahu al-Azim, that Allah the Great has spoken the truth. So His statements are the truth. But still, He took an oath. He took a qasam by time. So that is a big ta'keed, a big emphasis. And then the sentences, there are different levels of sentences in the Arabic language. One is to use a verbal sentence, a jumlatun fi'liya. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have said, khasir al-insan. The human being is in loss. So, but this could refer to a temporary state of being, temporary loss. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left that verbal sentence, jumla fi'liya, and used a jumla ismiya, a nominal sentence, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used a subject and predicate and said, insan is in loss. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have said, al-insanu khasira, the human being is in loss. But to add more permanence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not use the verb khasira, which gives a temporary meaning. Could be a temporary loss. This loss is not a temporary loss He's referring to. He's referring to eternal loss, eternal state of loss. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have used the word khasir, which would have been a noun, but beyond that, He used the word khusr, and He used it with tanween, and the tanween li ta'zim. So it means khusrun, means inna al-insana lafi khusrin, khusrin azimin. It means in a great loss. And then Allah ta'ala said, fi khusrin. He is in loss. He is completely, that means He's not just touching the loss, or the loss touches Him, or He's affected by it, part of His body. You know, sometimes people, they get paralyzed. Half the body is paralyzed. Right half, left half, or from the waist down, waist up. Fi khusrin means he's head to toe, submerged in the loss. And the tanween on the rin, khusrin, means it's a great. He's submerged in a great loss. And then if that wasn't enough emphasis, we have another two particles that are used for emphasis. One is the innal insan. The inna has no additional meaning. The only purpose of adding inna is to say verily, indeed. And then the lam. You could have said al-insanu fi khusrin. It would have been okay. But Allah Ta'ala said innal insan. He added the inna. We know the surah, we know there's an inna there. And then He added a lam. Innal insana la fi khusr. What's the purpose of the lam? If you extend it, you say la, of course that will mean no. This is not la, this is la. Innal insana la fi. Just one fatha, just one zabar on it. So this one lam with a zabar, it means additional emphasis. So many different levels of emphasis. Wal asri, first the oath, inna, then harf ta'keed, inna. Innal insana. Al insan, this alif lam is istighraqi, it means all human beings. Al-insan means every single human being. La is most definitely fi khusrin, in a great loss. Sometimes when we read the translation of the Quran, we pick it up. If Allah gives us tawfiq, we pick up a translation. And we will see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the translator says, verily indeed, all human beings are in a great loss. And we look at the Arabic, we'll say, I don't know where, he wants to make it flowery, he wants to add extra language, verbiage. He came up with these additional words. I don't see all of that in the Arabic. It's just very short in Arabic. It's not something that the translator came up with. It's because each one of these letters has a specific meaning in the Arabic language. If he said great loss, it's because of the tanween on the khusrin. If he said indeed, it's because of the inna. Most definitely, it's because of the lam. And if he said all human beings, it's because of the al on the al-insan. Each one of these has a translation. Albatta, zurur, like all of these translations in the Urdu translations or in the English translation is because of the particular wording. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is attracting our attention by using all of these ta'keed upon ta'keed, emphasis upon emphasis, and made such a enormous statement, such a huge statement, that verily all the human beings most definitely are in a ultimate loss. Now, there are two natural dispositions human beings have. One is jalbul manfa', that we desire good things for ourselves. We want good things, we want benefits. We want something that is going to help us and benefit us, that feels good, that tastes good, that makes us feel happy. That's jalbul manfa'. And then the other inner mechanism that we have, Allah has wired us with, is daf'ul madarra. And daf'ul madarra is we want to ward off and protect ourselves from that which is harmful, that which hurts, that which does not feel good, that which causes us pain. We want to protect ourselves from that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that we have these two inclinations within us. That is why for fulfilling His orders and doing righteous things, Allah has promised us good things. And for disobeying Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us and given us severe warnings. But between these two feelings, the stronger one and the more effective one is sometimes you might want good, and sometimes you'll say it's not worth it. If you have to strive hard to get something desirable, it's not worth it. If you don't feel motivated enough to pick ourselves up and do something, even though we're going to get benefits. The benefits are a motivating factor, but to a certain extent. But beyond that, which is even more effective, is daf'ul madarra, to protect ourselves from harm. Because if you're not going to move, if you're not going to fulfill the order, if you're not going to do what's right, then it's not only that you're going to miss out on rewards, you're actually going to face punishment. This is a more effective means of getting us to move and push ourselves to fulfill the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So over here, Allah ta'ala uses that. He's not saying those who will do the following actions will be rewarded with such and such blessings. That is a motivation, because we want to get those rewards. That is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came as well. Inna arsalnaka shahidan wa mubashiran wa nadhira. He brought the glad tidings. If you do righteous actions, you'll be rewarded. But along with that, and even more effective than that, is nadhira. He was a warner. So there's ilm al-targhib and there's ilm al-tarhib. That knowledge of that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given, which encourages us through promises of reward. But then there are also warnings of punishment. So here in this surah is the warning. The warning, ultimate warning, that by time itself all human beings are in an utter loss, are drowning in loss. A great loss. So this is a warning. Now it is supposed to create within us the desire that, oh my God, I do not want to be destroyed. I do not want to be in the utter loss. How can I protect myself? How can I protect myself, get myself out of this loss? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then mentions 4 qualities. Those who have these 4 qualities, 4 attributes, they will be preserved from that loss. Illa alladhina amanu. Illa, except for. Everyone, we heard the hukum and the ruling regarding all of mankind. Now the exception is coming. Those who are exempted from that, those who are protected from the above, is illa alladhina amanu, except for those who believe, those who have iman, those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who have the proper iman, proper belief, and illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat, and they follow up that belief with righteous actions. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. They do not just have lip service and belief in the heart, but that belief is proven through the body parts, through the righteous actions. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. And then وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. They invite one another towards haqq. They speak to one another, invite one another, encourage one another towards that which is the truth. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And they invite one another and they encourage one another towards sabr. So, it has been brought down to 4 things. Even these 4 things, the scholars say it's actually 2. The first 2. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, except for those who believe. Those who have iman, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and do righteous deeds. Iman is the tasdeeq, it is a conviction in the heart. Iman is التصديق بجميع ما جاء به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إجمالا فيما علم إجمالا وتفصيلا فيما علم تفصيلا من غير إمارة التكذيب من حيث أنه رسول الله. This iman is that a person has a tasdeeq, he has firm conviction and firm belief بجميع ما جاء به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, in the entirety of the message as conveyed by Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. In the entire message. Every single thing conveyed by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whether it was the Quran, whether it was the Sunnah, the entirety of that whole deen as conveyed by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he has a firm conviction in his heart, without any shade of doubt. Without any shade of doubt. Min ghayri imarat al-takdeeb. There's no shade of doubt, there's no manifestation of doubt. And he believes in this message as not because Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a very intelligent human being and I follow his advice, he was a genius, he was a great scholar, but rather min haythu annahu Rasulullah, from the perspective that he was a messenger of Allah. He was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why I believe what he said. This is a necessary part of iman. Because there are people who praise Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, non-Muslims, and they say he was the greatest man, he was the most influential man in history. Michael Hart, the 100, very famous book. People, Muslims, we get excited. SubhanAllah, he wrote this book and he said this. Whereas we have Allah Ta'ala praising him in the Quran. وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. I love you, O Muhammad, I will give you so much, I will make you happy. You are the greatest. Allah said, but that may not make us happy. Michael Hart said, oh, he's the greatest. Makes us very happy. Na'udhu billah. So he himself did not become a Muslim. So does he have iman because he believes Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most influential person in history? No. Because he does not believe min annahu Rasulullah, that he is the messenger of Allah, that he is speaking on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a necessary component of iman. So having this belief in the heart is tasdeeq. This tasdeeq is called iman. And then following through with the body part, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and they do righteous deeds. So righteous deeds include all the fara'id actions and wajibat and sunnah and mustahabbat, those things that are desirable and those things that are sunnah. A person is following through with all the righteous actions. Then after that, Allah Ta'ala says, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ, and they invite one another towards haqq. So there is one question that comes here, that all of the righteous actions are already included, already mentioned, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Inviting one another towards haqq and inviting one another towards sabr. Aren't these already good deeds? You already mentioned the good deeds, then why are you mentioning again? Right? This is the normal understanding in logic as well as in nahu, in grammar, in Arabic, is that al-atfu yaqtadi at-taghayur. That when you have an atf, a conjunction, a waw, you say something and something, then that which precedes the waw and that which comes after the waw should be different. You can't say the same thing over and again. For example, you'll say, Ja'a Zaydun wa Amrun. Zayd came and Amr came. That makes sense. You wouldn't say, Ja'a Zaydun wa Zaydun wa Zaydun. Zayd came and Zayd came and Zayd came. You don't repeat it. You don't say the same thing before the and after the and. Before the and after the and should be something different, something new. So over here, inviting one another towards truth, tawasaw bil haqq, and tawasaw bis sabr, inviting one another towards patience. It's already mentioned. You already said it in Amilu Salihat. He already said doing righteous deeds. Isn't this a righteous deed? If this is beyond righteous deed, something new, information, fine. But if it is a righteous deed, it's already been mentioned. So why is this? This is called takhsis ba'da ta'mim. Specifically highlighting things which are already included. Subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that inviting one another towards haqq is a righteous deed. And inviting one another towards sabr is a righteous deed. But He's specifically pointing it out. Why is He specifically pointing out? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not just tell us you have to have iman and amal salihah without giving us the keys, without giving us the way how to develop the iman and how to develop the amal salihah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to tell us how. You have, basically, as I said earlier, instead of 4 exceptions, it's only 2. The first 2 are the main ones. Iman and amal salihah. Belief in righteous actions. These are the only 2 ways to protect oneself from the khusr in azim, the tanween for ta'zim, the great loss that is mentioned in the beginning. It's only iman and amal salihah. But why are the tawasaw bil haqq and tawasaw bil sabr mentioned? Tawasaw bil haqq is the effort of iman. Through tawasaw bil haqq, the iman will be developed. And through tawasaw bil sabr, the ability to do righteous deeds will be developed. So one is the effort of iman, and one is the effort of building iman, and one is the effort of building the ability to do righteous deeds. How so? Because tawasaw bil haqq is when you invite one another towards haqq. When you speak about haqq, when you speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you speak about the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who Allah is and how great His power is, the more you give da'wah towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more your iman will increase. The more the different shukuk, shubhat, the doubts people try to put and plant in your mind, in our minds, regarding Allah, regarding the maghibat, regarding the unseen world, regarding the metaphysical world, the alamul ghaib. The more we make tawasaw bil haqq, the more we speak about haqq, we speak about aqidah, we speak about our faith, we speak about the rational proofs, and the naqli dalail, the dalail from the Quran and the Sunnah. We make mudhakara of haqq, we invite towards haqq, this will build our iman. This is what the Sahaba radiallahu anhum said, like Abdullah bin Rawaha, Halla najlis nu'minu sa'atan. Come, let us sit down and revive our iman for a short while. So revival of iman, strengthening the iman is through tawasi bil haqq. This is why this is mentioned specifically, to build the iman. And tawasaw bil sabr is because now you know, you have the knowledge of what is right and wrong, and you believed in it, you believed in the scripture and the revelation. But at the end of the day, you have this big internal enemy, the nafs. And that nafs is not allowing you to fulfill the orders of Allah. You need, after knowing what is right and after knowing what is wrong, you need the inner strength to be able to do what is right, and you need the inner strength to be able to abstain from that which is wrong. And where will you get that inner strength from? By squashing the nafs. And squashing the nafs, habs ala nafs, that is the actual meaning of sabr. Sabr, we take it to mean just being patient at the time of calamities. That is just one meaning of sabr. Sabr is of 3 types. Sabr ala ta'at, sabr anil ma'asi, and sabr ala al-masaib. Sabr is going against the nafs in fulfilling the order of Allah. That is sabr. Sabr is going against the nafs to abstain from the disobedience of Allah. And sabr is to go against the nafs and not complain at the time of the calamity, to accept it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from the 3 types of sabr, one of them is to remain patient at the time of calamity. But the other 2 types of sabr are helping with amal salihah, helping in the ability to do righteous deeds. If we have that sabr, tawasaw bil sabr, we invite one another towards squashing the nafs. This nafs ammara bisu, which is compelling us towards evil, then it will become easier for us to do righteous deeds. Then we will be able to practice upon that which we believe, to actually put into amal that which we had iman on. So at the end of the day, it's only the first 2. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. The tawasaw bil haqq, inviting towards haqq, will strengthen the iman, and the tawasaw bil sabr will strengthen the amal salihah, the righteous deeds. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq that we continue to invite towards haqq and speak the truth, speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala such that our iman becomes strong, and that we invite one another towards sabr such that our amal salihah becomes strong and acceptable. And with these 2 attributes and with the 4 attributes, then we are protected from and saved from the disaster which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala began the surah by saying, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. and that the time bears testimony to, and history shows that all of mankind is in the ultimate loss, except for those who believe, do righteous deeds, invite towards truth, and invite towards patience. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst the saviors, those who are saved ones, the saved ones, and not make us among those who are in the utter loss. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Let's perform sunnah inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Few announcements, inshallah. Please pass the donation boxes. Please donate generously for the masjid expenses. Sadaqatu tadfa al-bala. Sadaqah removes the difficulties, draws the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll be having our first monthly story night. Inshallah, I will be speaking tonight, Friday, October 5th, 4th, after Salatul Isha, 8 p.m. This is a 10-part series. It'll be focusing on the illustrious lives of the 10 companions promised Jannah. So tonight will be the first session. It's going to be every Friday, first Friday of every month. First Friday of October, November, December, January, February, likewise. So we will be talking about 10 Sahaba guaranteed Jannah. Tonight we will be speaking about Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, inshallah. Tomorrow, Team Fajr program will be held at 6:15 Fajr Salah. There will be a short talk on Ihya Ulumuddin with Mawlana Muhyi Khan from Imam Ghazali's Ihya Ulumuddin, and followed by breakfast. Inshallah, every Tuesday night we have Tafsir with Mufti Azimuddin. First surah that is being covered is Surah Waqi'ah. Part 1 was held this past Tuesday. Coming Tuesday, we have part 2 of 5. So there's 5 Tuesdays to cover Surah Waqi'ah. Part 2 is coming Tuesday. Save the date, Winter Intensive. We have classes from December 21st to 25th when everyone is off of work and school. Mufti Azimuddin, myself, Sheikh Hashim from Karachi, Maulana Yusuf Oath, and more teachers from Dar es Salaam will be teaching. Topics include ethics of disagreements, deconstructing modern isms, science of hadith, Islamic holistic health, and more. Our next monthly seminar will be held next Friday, October 11th. Next Friday, October 11th, after Isha, Mona Shammas from Madrasatul Hasanain in Indianapolis will be speaking. Lombard Premier League in Masjid al-Islam will be holding a 2-day cricket tournament. The tournament date has been delayed to next weekend, October 12th and 13th. Please visit bismillahkart.com for more information. More details are available on our website for all of our programs. And lastly, we have Institute of Islamic Education, IIE. They have a fundraising dinner on 26th of October, Saturday at Shalimar Banquets. They are here to selling tickets in the lobby. Please support this madrasa, inshallah, and the Institute of Learning. Please purchase tickets and support and join the program, inshallah. Jazakallahu Khairun.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله العليم الخبير المتقن نظام العالم بلا معين ونصير فسبحان الذي حكمته بالغة وعلمه غزير ونعمه واصلة إلى كل صغير وكبير
ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له في نقير ولا قطمير، ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدًا عبده ورسوله الذي هدانا بكتاب منير ودعانا إلى الله بالإنذار والتبشير، وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ما دامت الكواكب تسير. أما بعد، فإن ترجمة عقيدة أهل السنة في كلمتي الشهادة التي هي إحدى مباني الإسلام، فمعنى الكلمة الأولى أن الله تعالى هو المبدع للعالم، الواحد الأحد القديم، الحي القادر العليم، السميع البصير، الشاكر المريد الكاتب للمقادير، ليس كمثله شيء ولا يخرج من علمه وقدرته شيء، وهو الخالق الرازق المحيي المميت، وله الأسماء الحسنى وله المثل الأعلى، وهو العزيز الحكيم. ومعنى الكلمة الثانية أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله، وأنه صادق في جميع ما جاء به من الأخبار والأحكام، وأن القرآن كلام الله تعالى، وكل من الكتب والرسل والملائكة حق، والمعراج حق، وكرامات الأولياء حق، والصحابة كلهم عدول، وأفضلهم الأربعة الخلفاء على ترتيب الخلافة، وسؤال القبر حق، والبعث حق، والوزن حق، والكتاب حق، والحساب حق، والحوض حق، والصراط حق، والشفاعة حق، ورؤية الله تعالى حق، والجنة حق، والنار حق، وهما باقيتان لا تفنيان ولا يفنى أهلهما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله والكتاب الذي نزل على رسوله والكتاب الذي أنزل من قبل، ومن يكفر بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر فقد ضل ضلالا بعيدا. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه، ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا محمدًا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وبعد، إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك، وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات، وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته، وارض اللهم عن خلفاء الراشدين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي، وعن سائر الصحابة والتابعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات، إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم انصرهم في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها، اللهم انصرهم في كشمير يا رب العالمين، اللهم صبرهم صبرا جميلا، اللهم كن معهم وليا ونصيرا يا رب العالمين. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم، وادعوه يستجب لكم، ولذكر الله أكبر، والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقيموا الصلاة. Please come forward, inshallah. Please fill in all the gaps.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
سووا واعتدلوا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الله نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب والأبصار ليجزيهم الله أحسن ما عملوا ويزيدهم من فضله والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Inshallah, today, for today's bayan, inshallah, for Jumu'ah bayan, we're going to speak about akhlaq. I've spoken about this topic before in the past, but it's one of those topics that we can speak about every week. The topic of akhlaq, which is one of the plurals, the other plural is khuluq, is character, it's etiquette, good character, manners, morals, right? So this is one of the topics that we can speak about often because it affects our every single aspect of our life. So just the way we're sitting now, the way I'm standing, the way I'm addressing you, is all based on akhlaq, right? It's all of this, everything that we do is based on akhlaq. So the first thing that we want to speak about today, inshallah, is that where does akhlaq come from, right? Where does akhlaq come from? So that's the first thing that we have to ask ourselves. Where do we learn our akhlaq from? Like the way that you get up in the morning, the way that you eat, right? I've mentioned this before, there's a sunnah. Right, we learn this from our sunnah. So the sunnah is where we learn our akhlaq from. So we see this in the hadith when Sayyidatuna Aisha radiallahu anha, when she was asked by some of the companions, what was the character of the Prophet like? Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What was his character like? What was he like? In the house, when he was outside, when he was with his companions, when he was dealing with those who disbelieved in him, when he was in battle, when he was outside of battle, what was his akhlaq like? What was his character like? And we've probably all heard this reply before, but she had said, كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. His character was the Qur'an. Now what does this mean? What does this mean? His character was the Qur'an. Right? The Qur'an is the text that we recite, it's Kamalam Allah. So how can that be his character? It means that he lived, everything that he did was based on the Qur'an. It was part of the revelation. This includes the way he spoke to people, the way he walked, the way he dressed. All this was based on the Qur'an. It's such a jami', it's so comprehensive, this statement of hers. You can tell here, just Sayyidatuna Aisha, radiallahu anha, she was so intelligent, subhanAllah. Right? She was so intelligent and she was sharp. You can just see this in the way that she had answered this question. She could have said, oh, he was like this at home. Oh, he did this. He used to do this. He was like this with his companions. When he left for salah, he was like this. When in salah, he was like this. When he fasted, he was like this. No, she just said, كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. No, she just said his character was the Qur'an. It's comprehensive. It's a very beautiful statement. That hadith is also in Sahih Muslim. So why do we seek knowledge? I want to address this issue, and it will connect back to akhlaq, of course. It's just one of the aspects of akhlaq that I want to speak about. Why do we seek knowledge? And many of us here, like we have hifz students here, we have students in the Alamiyah, we have brothers that attend the Tafheem program, we have brothers that attend the Tanweer, we have brothers here that attend any of the monthly programs that we have, the Sawalat program, all of these programs. Why? This is all seeking knowledge. And we know that it's obligatory upon every Muslim to seek knowledge, as the Prophet ﷺ had told us. So why do we seek knowledge? So we seek knowledge because we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure and nothing else. That's why we seek knowledge. Because we know that the more we know about the deen, the better we'll be able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the less mistakes we'll make in life, and then the more pleased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be with us. And then we'll have a greater reward with Him, inshallah. So knowledge itself is a trust. Okay? So we seek knowledge for Allah's pleasure, of course, so that He will be pleased with us and that He will reward us. But knowledge is a trust. It's a jewel. Now I want you to follow along with this image that I'm giving you. Knowledge is a trust and it's a jewel. And where is it located? It's in chests. It's in the hearts of ulama, of teachers. Right? It's in the hearts of the ulama. And they learned it from their teachers, and their teachers, and their teachers. Always back to the Sahaba, of course, back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And these teachers, whether they're male or female scholars, it is not gained, but with the correct key. Okay? So knowledge is a treasure. It's in a chest, which is in the heart of scholars. It's not gained except for with the correct key. And that key is the etiquette. The etiquette and the khuluq and the akhlaq, the adab that you have with your teachers. Now you may say, I gained knowledge without etiquette. I gained it from books. Okay, that's a valid objection that you could bring up. So then you may say, since I gained it without etiquette, either I was rough with my teachers or I abused them, or I gained it from books, then etiquette must not be necessary, right? Because I was able to open the chest and get the knowledge without key, the key being the etiquette. I would say, okay, you probably stole it somehow, right? So you used a different key. Fair enough. You maybe broke the chest open, right, to get the jewel inside, which was the knowledge. Fair enough. But you have to remember that if you had bad akhlaq and your teacher still gave you knowledge, he still conveyed knowledge to you, then it was their good akhlaq for dealing with your hardship, your hardness, that they gave you the knowledge. So you may have not been good to them, and you may have been rough with them, or you didn't treat them well, or you didn't respect them as you should have respected them. But it was because of their respect for you as a talibul ilm, as a student of knowledge, that they decided to, they knew that knowledge itself was a trust, and they had to convey it to you, whether you were harsh with them or not. So, but where did those teachers learn that from? They learned that from the Sunnah. Because we know that sometimes the Bedouin Arabs, they would come up to the Prophet ﷺ and they would like grab his shirt and they ask him a question. Right? They have a question about the deen, they grab him. Or like they'd want some part of the ghanima, or they'd want zakat or sadaqah or something, you grab him and like you'll be rough with him. And the Prophet ﷺ never hit them. He never yelled at them. He just answered the question. Or he gave them what they were asking for. Right? So your teachers learn their akhlaq this way as well. Now, supposing that you do get this knowledge, like I had said, and then how long will you actually end up keeping this knowledge? Till graduation, maybe? Till you finish your hifz? Till you graduate from the alamiyah? Or after you graduate from ifta? You graduate from a takhassus program? Perhaps it will be taken from you then. Or perhaps afterwards. Or perhaps you'll hold on to this knowledge until your death. But then on Yawm al-Qiyamah, will that knowledge be worth anything to you because you didn't have you didn't get it the proper way, which is through the akhlaq with your teachers and with the scholars and with the ulama and with the books? No. Because as we know in a hadith that also occurs in Muslim, there are 3 people that are brought before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first one was a mujahid, the second one was a qadi or a scholar, and the third one, of course, was a rich man. So just focusing on the scholar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks him, what did you do with the knowledge I gave you? And of course, the man says, I learned the Quran so that I could beautify it and I could recite your revelation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kadabt, you've lied. Because what ended up happening is that this person was seeking knowledge for the wrong reasons. Right? So just keeping in mind that if you don't acquire knowledge the proper way, which is through akhlaq and etiquette with your teachers, then Yawm al-Qiyamah, it won't benefit you. Because again, why are we seeking knowledge? We seek knowledge for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. But on the Day of Judgment, if we didn't seek it properly, that pleasure is not there. It'll be taken from us. And it'll be used against us because we didn't have the proper etiquette when seeking that knowledge. Now furthermore, we also seek knowledge in this life for scholarship as well. We want to be scholars, right? We want to know something about the deen so that we can be guided, that we can guide our family, that we can guide our friends, we can guide the community eventually, and then inshallah the entire world. Now, we take this knowledge, like I said, from the teachers, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored those teachers and the scholars through knowledge. So it's incumbent upon us that we honor them, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored them, so we honor them, in hopes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will honor us. You can see the logic, right? You can see how this is making sense. Now, those teachers received everything like this, all of this from the oral tradition. The oral tradition is passed down through the chest of scholars, from what they learned from their teachers, and they had memorized, and they teach it down, and they pass it down to more students. It's not just from books, right? That's a separate topic. We can talk about the etiquette that you should have with books and how you shouldn't put them on the ground, and you shouldn't write very sloppy in them. You should keep everything neat and all that. We can have a whole discussion about that next time. And there's other books for that as well that we can discuss. But finally, the last thing I want to mention about akhlaq is about our own character. So we first talked about having proper adab and akhlaq for our knowledge itself, having proper akhlaq and adab and etiquette for our teachers, and then finally as representatives of the knowledge that we've gained. That's the third aspect. So first of all, we need to speak about our language. So no student, no scholar should ever be using foul language or racial slurs. Okay, I've heard this before. I've heard some of this, unfortunately, amongst our community, and we have to be aware of this, that we should never be using foul language. Right? It's okay. I mean, I get it. We live in a Jahili society, so it slips up sometimes. But it shouldn't become your habit to use foul language or racial slurs. Because this is prohibited in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us not to use racial slurs against each other and also not to call each other by bad nicknames. Right? In Surah Hujurat. Furthermore, this is not what we learn from the Sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ was never harsh with people. He never called people names, used bad nicknames, horrible nicknames for them. Right? So we should keep that in mind. It's also part of the Sunnah. Now you may say, I've heard scholars using foul language. Right? And I will tell you that I've never heard any of my teachers using foul language. But supposing that they did, again, sometimes we do mess up and we use, we may say a foul word once or twice. Right? But it shouldn't become our habit. And if it is your habit or your friends' habits, then you need to leave them. Because I mentioned this before, that those who you associate with, eventually their akhlaq and their mannerisms will end up falling back on you. So we should also keep that in mind. And then finally, specifically for the hifz students, you might be spending all day reciting Quran, but then if you're going home and you're using foul language, or use foul language amongst your friends, you kind of just tore down the building that you've been trying to build all day. Right? So you just want to keep that in mind. You've been reciting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's speech, His divine speech all day, His revelation, and then after that you're going just tearing down that building. You just want to keep that in mind as well. So Jazakumullahu Khairun. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. If everybody can stand for the Sunnah, inshallah.